Not yet. Oh, wait. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're live again. We're always surprised to be live, even though we mean to go live, which is wonderful and hilarious at the same time. Thanks for joining us today. I'm incredibly honored to introduce someone really special. We have Heba. Heba's the mother of Adam Malki, a remarkable young man whose kindness, leadership, and big heart left a lasting impact on everyone around him. And some of the stories that I've heard are incredible. After losing Adam in a tragic accident a few months ago, the family chose to turn their grief into something powerful, launching a scholarship to carry on Adam's legacy and carry it forward and uplift those across Halton that are youth that are looking for support and help. Today, we're here to share Adam's story and the incredible work that's going on right now to help build out this scholarship. How's it going? Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm truly honored to be asked. Adam was a remarkable kid. He was very humble and never told us some of the great things that he was doing throughout school. And we just thought we should be touching some more of those kids that are being very quiet and recognizing them in these scholarships.
So I'm heavily connected to this story under the guise of the idea that I have a 17-year-old son and a 15-year-old son and a daughter of 12, but the 17-year-old is really like that's what really drove this story home to me. And I think you're right. We, as parents, hope that our children will go out into the world and create a positive impact some way, somehow.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, in your case, you had to find out after the fact of all this stuff. But it's really humbling and wonderful to know that our young people are making a difference out there in some ways,
It's
which I think is incredible.
it's huge because even speaking to his fellow friends and classmates, they've named it now Adam's Way. They've actually become, from what I heard from the principal, they've become extremely supportive of each other. And when they see someone doing something to someone else, they're like, that's not Adam's way. Let's not do that.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
So
Yeah.
let's circle back to the beginning. So life is going good. Your office, your work, everything you're doing is great. And one night in last year, Adam decides to go for a drive to go meet friends.
It was actually in the middle of the day.
Oh, it was in the middle of the day. I
Yeah.
that part I didn't connect with. So in the middle of the day, a bit of a dark day. So it was a bit rainy with some icy rain.
Yeah.
And the story is he just goes off and
He was going to square one with his friends to get some Santa pictures done for, to give to all the parents as gifts.
wow.
It was him and a couple friends, and it was December 7th at around 1:45, 2 o'clock. Basically, uh, was not speeding. So we found that out from the police. And the roads were just icy, and the car went out of control and hit, flipped and hit a hydro pole in Milton on back roads. And basically, he passed away on impact. He didn't suffer. And we found out literally the second it happened because our iPhones are all set up with SOS emergency contacts. And the phone automatically rings to the police, rings to the ambulance, rings to us. So
Which
we
is something, by the way, that I knew it was kind of there, but I've never witnessed or had a connection to the impact of how important that is.
Yeah.
Because,
If there's anything I could tell any parent,
right.
iPhone user
Yeah,
or an Android, there must be something.
there is for sure. Yeah.
Put emergency contacts, and literally through a satellite, when the phone is impacted a certain way, it will automatically send an alert to everybody in the contact list. So my entire family received the SOS emergency.
That must
And the key
that
point
must have been
was
very impactful, eh?
it was, but the key point was there was no cell service in that area, and that little spot, and it still sent the message through the satellite system out
Yes.
to the necessary people.
Yeah.
And the police were there, you told me, in like 7 or 8 minutes,
Yeah.
which is amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. And I live 10 minutes down, so they were obviously there before us. And
Mhm.
again, we had to drive carefully because it was icy. And as we got there,
Hmm.
we literally, like, we drove right up to the accident scene and we saw the car, everything. And obviously, we were all in disbelief. And we were like, it's not him, like, it's the wrong person, because our bodies are in shock. And then, the police and the ambulance were amazing. They probably stayed with us until about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, maybe later. I don't remember. And they were there to guide us and just kind of get everything ready in sense of what's next.
Yeah.
So to set all this up appropriately, I would really love to tell a couple of the stories that you have, that you told us, that you shared with us about your son, because this kid sounds amazing. Literally, like he's like, I'm already like goosebumping up thinking about the stories you told us. And I would love to hear a couple of those just for our audience, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Adam was that kid that would come home, and it was always me and him after school first at home, and be like, how's your day? And he'd be like, nah, it's just a day, the drama and the stupidness or this that I saw. And I'm like, okay, anything interesting happen? Like, they used to
Typical
call me,
teenager.
yeah, typical teenager. I'm like, I have to pull things out of him.
Yeah.
But Adam was the kid that literally checked. There's 3 kids with the autism in his school in his grade, and he would go and literally be leaving class to go to the bathroom, but he knew where the kids were in the library or in the cafeteria, and he would go and check on them and just be like, hey, how are you doing today? How was your day? I just came to see you, hang out with you. And when he passed, we then found out that these kids went into the principal's office and said, we have nobody that's checked on us, because Adam was our only friend. So that was gut wrenching for me. Obviously, I made some phone calls to some of his friends, and I said, can you guys check on these 3 kids for us and just make sure that they're still okay until, school year is going to be done very soon. And they were on it, and they check on them and they make sure to send me updates. There was another time where a young lady was sitting in the cafeteria, him and his best friend, Preston, one of his best friends, saw her, and they were like, what are you doing? Why are you all by yourself in the caf? Come on, let's go. We're going out for lunch. We're going to make friends. We're going to introduce you to people. And these are grade 12 boys telling this to like grade 9 girls, making them feel comfortable. There was another grade 9 young man that was also very quiet, but used to come and watch the boys' football practice. And Adam's like, come on, we need a guy like you on the team. Let's go. Or if it was even his shop class or tech class, which was they were building homes for Habitat for Humanity, and he's done that ever since grade 9. Honest to God, he would be like pulling kids and going, let's go, you got to get into the trades. This is where, the money's at. This is where we need people. This is the experience. And he would, obviously, because his dad's a builder and I'm running the other side of the construction of our business, it was very natural for him to get guys and be like, Dad, okay, some of these kids need co-op. Where should they go? Who did they go to? Who we talk to, and just kids were always showing up at our house and just asking advice, or because of Adam. He was always the one he was such a great leader, but never showed it out loud. He was very humble. even the custodial staff, like till today, like this stories always stick in my heart, that I'm immensely proud of this young man. And I didn't know all of these amazing stories that he would, after football practice, the boys, are boys, and they'd leave their change rooms sometimes in a disaster or stuff behind. Adam and his other best friends would always check the room, make sure it was left tidy, and talk with this custodial staff about stories about back home. She was an immigrant from somewhere in Africa. Sorry, I don't know exactly where. And, she would be like, oh, my sons are like you guys, and you guys are such great boys. And, and he would see her and help her. If she's pushing like a big barrel, he'd be like, no, I got this. And he would push it for her where it needs to go. Or he would high five her throughout the day. And, she had to leave the school. She's not there anymore, from what I know, and what I heard, because this wasn't easy for her to come back. She fainted in one of the teacher's arms when she found out, and she's not there anymore. And those kids come to my house like every 3, 4, 5 weeks. And they tell me all the great stories, and they tell me what's going on in school, and they still fill me in. And even today, believe it or not, I got a phone call from them, and they're like, can you come? We need to talk to you. We need to see you. Something about grad. We want to show you the yearbook. And like, they're so involved. They invite me out to all their rugby games or football games or anything that's going on. They're such good kids. And, I talk about, you don't know who your kid is until you see his friends, or vice versa. You don't know who his, what kind of people that he's hanging out with. And they're such good kids. Like Adam was such a good boy, not because he's my son, but because of all these amazing things that were written about him. There was a young lady that even wrote, we did a Instagram, tell us a story about Adam. She basically said, we went out on a date once, and he treated me with such respect that he's put my standards so high. He's opened the doors for me. He bought me flowers. He's made sure he took care of everything. And he was so kind, and they were talking for hours. And, that shows a lot, whether it's in boy-girl relationship or a relationship with other adults. He was a big goof, don't get me wrong. He was, he was hilarious. He was the kid that can always crack a joke or find something funny. He was happy, and he just loved life.
There's something to be said for you are who you associate with. And I love the idea that the friends have all sort of picked up the torch to continue the legacy and continue what they had already built as a friend group.
Absolutely.
It's very interesting to see that, and to understand, and to have them. I love the idea that they'll just come and hang out.
Oh yeah.
I think that's hilarious. And I think it's absolutely lovely, because it's like, he's still here.
Yeah.
He's still here in a way,
Selfishly, it's my way of having hugs from 17-year-olds.
Sure.
Right? Like, I'm really trying hard to hold myself together, but if it wasn't for those kids checking on us and hugging and coming to see me, and just even texting me, hey mom, I love you, and I'm not their mom, but they respect and love us like their parents, it's the world to me.
We spend a lot of time crapping on teenagers nowadays, and I don't think that's justified.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, I think we need to find the good,
I raised my kids with an iron fist, and I'm a very strict parent, but I was also the very parent that they told all their secrets to, because they would know to come to me and be like, okay, mom, we need to talk, and we need you sitting down, and you can't get mad. So as soon as you hear that, you panic and you're like,
Oh my
can
gosh.
you give me like 5 minutes to calm down
Yeah.
before I light up some fires for no reason?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, yeah, okay. I'm like, go put the dishes away. And they come right back. So within minutes, they would be back. And, especially Adam and myself, like he knew he could tell me anything. And I wouldn't be the parent that would overreact. I would not be the parent that would get pissed when they came to me to tell me something. Sometimes if I didn't know how to answer, I'd be like, can you just give me a few minutes or a day? I need to sleep on this because I just don't know how I feel about it. Thank God it never went to that because they were all like light and fluffy things that were easy to talk to. But I feel that to parents, the closer you are to your children, the more that you are involved in their life without crapping on them. Because I used to crap on Adam and Amelia, like, don't get me wrong, but the more you tell them your stories growing up and the more they'll tell you theirs. The more that I was their friend, but I was their parent first. And Rashid was the exact same way. So
Well, I think it's also important to be on the same page as parents with that sort of thing too, right?
yeah, and I think they came to me more because I wasn't always like the goody two shoe growing up. And they know that I wouldn't be overreacting. I would literally speak to them as adults. I would tell them their choices, their decisions, and how, if it was me, how I would go about the situation. And they would always come back and surprise me with even better way of solving or dealing with something.
Um, so let's shift gears a little bit into how we're keeping Adam's memory alive and what we're doing to sort of foster future amazing teenagers. Um, so we have a scholarship that's now in place and some significant money raised already,
Yeah.
which is unreal. Like just I've seen the numbers and I'm like, I mean, we're only a few months past the incident, quite frankly, and you've already built this up to something incredible,
We started
which speaks to
February
first of all,
7th.
it speaks to Adam because
Yeah.
the connection he has with the community because of who he was as a human,
Yes.
but also, just your excitement and your gregariousness around this topic and around this idea. I can feel it every time I talk to you about it or every time we've talked about it. And certainly this is something that's vastly important, not only to you, but to whomever receives this. So let's
Absolutely.
talk a little bit about it. Let's talk about how it started, what the thought process was, and what it's for.
Um, it's funny because three people had the same idea, but we were all quiet. One of them being one of my clients, Jeff, and one of them being one of my best friends, Dan, and myself. And they both kind of approached the principal first before they even came to me.
Right.
And then Jeff got us in touch with the Halton Learning Foundation, and basically it went from there. And we launched it before we even met the Halton Learning Foundation. And I think in that first week, which was the week of February 7th, is when we started. We raised $8,500 like that. And they were already shocked. They were like, this is huge. And then I had the outpour from February 7th till today, and we're at $56,000 almost. And my goal, and they're all kind of like telling me I'm crazy, but my goal is to get to $100,000. So we're looking for corporate match sponsors and donors and companies that would match what we've done or match if their office did a day for Adam in there, like dress down day, and they all donated, and then the company would match what they donated and send it off to the Halton Learning Foundation. Yeah, and we partnered up with a great foundation because truly I just didn't want to touch the money. I didn't want to be responsible for
Yeah,
tax,
complicated. It's complicated. I get
all
it.
those kinds of things. That's not my forte.
Yeah.
My forte is go knock on doors and share the stories. And I will be knocking on more doors next week because I got 3 weeks to go after that. And I want to get to that 100,000 or close to. You know, and the scholarships are going, there's 3 scholarships for right now Milton District High School. And one is the leadership, one is trades, and one is sportsmanship. And the reason we picked 3 is because those are the 3 key things that defined Adam. And it was something that Amelia, my daughter, and my husband Rashid we came together, and it was easy. It was fast and it flowed, and everything we wanted to say was just like, we came up with everything in like an hour. And that's when you know that something is right from the heart, because I didn't have to edit, correct, change, do anything else.
Right.
So, and next year, obviously, we're hoping to raise even more money, and it will still be 3 scholarships going to the school. And we are looking at, obviously, depending on funds and how much we can raise, we're looking at adding 1 more scholarship throughout Halton.
That's amazing.
And then maybe even in the years to come, opening it up to more schools in Halton, because he was well known throughout Halton. He played football for Milton District, and he played shortly for the Titans because he broke his collarbone and then he couldn't continue for the season. But in all honesty, like, and he loves rugby. That was the other sport that broke his collarbone. So
That'll do that.
Yeah, can do that. But you know, it's something that we all feel that we want to start a foundation that we can continue, and hoping that sometime throughout this year, we're going to also do some sort of Adam Day. I haven't really put my head around what is that, and raise more money. I really want to get to that 100,000 or more mark, because I want this legacy to continue for many years. And a smart man told me that, you know, it will only be maybe 3, 4, 5 years that you will have this. That's fine. But how do we continue remembering students that need help for post-secondary?
Yeah.
And get them going that way. And that little bit does do a great deal for the school.
So, how did this, so explain to everyone how one applies for this scholarship.
Funny enough, because we just sent out the email to all the teachers to tap students on the shoulders at the Milton District High School this year to basically submit an essay why they are deserving of whichever scholarship they apply for.
Yeah.
And the way I set this up this year, it's that if you're a returning student, you still qualify. You'll just get the money next year. Halton Learning Foundation will hold it for you. Because I know that there's a lot of kids that are returning for extra credits, to play another season of football, whatever the case may be. So what I decided on, it's if I'm coming back for a repeat of grade 12 to get a couple more or do my co-op or do whatever, if this is your graduating year, you will still qualify. You write the essay, and we have a group of people that will be reading these essays and picking. My husband, my daughter, and myself are not choosing these students because I don't want anything biased.
Yeah.
Adam was a very fair person, and I want everybody to have the ability and the opportunity to apply,
Mhm.
whether they're his best friends or not. If they were the quiet kid that, no one noticed, I don't care. I'm hoping that the entire grade 12 class, graduating class, does right so that we have a hard time picking. And maybe, we go and add a second one. We
Yeah.
don't know. I can't decide anything with the Halton Learning Foundation or Jeff or Dan or any of the other parents that are helping, because I really want these kids to go for it.
And how much is this scholarship?
So right now, we've put a base number because Halton Learning Foundation needed a number.
Mhm.
It is $2,500 per scholarship. It could go up to more
Mhm.
as long as I see the numbers come in.
Yeah. And it's only applicable to this one school right now.
This year, yes. This is Adam's graduating year as well.
Mhm.
Poor kid graduated COVID through a Zoom call, and didn't get this graduation. And I want to make an impact this year for his school, for his fellow teammates, classmates, the ones that were helping him build the homes for Habitat for Humanity, or whatever it was that he was doing in any of his classes or any of his friends that are there. But after that, I do want to open it up for sure to more schools in Halton, particular.
Superb. Yeah.
We're in Halton, and I just want to give kids the opportunity of helping that extra, maybe pay for a book or a class or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So how does one donate? Talk to us about that, because we need to know and we need to send it out there to everybody.
There's definitely a link that is attached to Adam's name. I will share the link with you guys right after the call.
And we'll put the links in the notes below the post here that's live. I mean, it's not live now. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if Andrea has already done that, quite frankly. So
Okay,
figured it out
brilliant.
and done that.
Yeah, no, awesome. But there is a special link that's attached to Adam, and I get weekly updates on the funds that are coming in. And yeah, it goes straight to the Halton Learning Foundation. They've
Good.
been
You're right. So you don't get involved in any of it, which is wonderful.
Well, that's
No.
the best part, is that you can funnel that money straight to them. They're already an organized charity or
Yes.
nonprofit, and they can handle the money legally and for tax purposes, all the things that need to get done, do tax receipts, all
Yep.
the things,
As
right?
soon
So
as-
you don't have to deal with that.
Exactly. As soon as you push your credit card statement, your credit card number in through and finalize your donation, your email, it gets spit out a tax receipt right there and then.
And that is a big thing, the tax receipt, everybody. Just remember, a tax receipt. Yes.
Save the money.
Yes.
Yes.
The thing that strikes me the most about this is, when you tell the stories about how your son was and the type of human being he was, and how he was really a caring person and someone who really wanted to help others on a regular basis, there is no more fitting way than to do something like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just, you said it, it seems right. It felt easy. It all fell into place quickly. It makes sense, right? And I bet that he's very proud.
I believe he's very proud.
Yeah.
So it's been hard for me because I put this goal, and if you know me, I'm a goal-oriented
I think
person.
we do now.
And I work backwards on how I could get this. And to be honest with you, last week I was like, oh, we only got another $1,500. And I could hear him saying, only $1,500. That's great.
do you know what kind of economy we're living in? And there's people having a
Yeah.
hard time right now.
Yep.
Don't stop. Don't you dare give up, because you are going to hit it. And I can literally feel him and hear him almost like smack in the back of my head, just going, "What are you doing, Mom? You got this. You
Yeah.
got this, and someone's gonna come out of nowhere and help you hit that number."
Mhm.
The thing is, every $100,000 is great, right? And it would be an
Nothing to-
incredible achievement.
Yeah.
But every dollar makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Every single dollar.
Yeah.
So whether it's $1 donated or $1,500 donated in a week,
Absolutely.
each little piece is going to help someone somehow.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the bigger message here, right? Because you are doing something that is, through the grief and all the things that you've been through, you're still stepping up so soon to do this and to build this is, I'm kind of speechless because I don't know how to verbalize how impressed I am and how
Thank you.
So
proud I am.
I just want to say that throughout my whole career, I could have donated to all kinds of charities and situations, whether it be, whatever it was. And the interesting part about this is I've always emulated towards children's education and donated towards children's learning ability or sports. When they took out the sports, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe that out of the schools, right? That to me affected my children in the middle of their education, right, Justin? And it was awful because I thought, what? That is part of their whole, learning and
Identity too.
identity and stamina and whatever. Anyway, and so when you told me this, I mean, children's education and moving forward with financial ability to do something that they really want to do is so important to children. And there's
Well, and to your point of, the idea of the economy the way it is, and everybody's scrimping and saving and trying to
Mhm.
get through,
Absolutely.
some of these parents, there are people suffering in silence right now for money,
Absolutely.
right? And so some of these parents are sitting here going, my kid's in grade 12. How am I going to get them to university? How am I going to get them to whatever their dream is? It doesn't have to be university. It can be college. It can be,
it could be anything. It
skilled
could be-
trade or something
yeah.
that they need to learn. How do we figure this out? And we don't know how to, and what's interesting about it is, as a parent, there are moments of failure, feeling like a failure in those moments. It's not your fault necessarily. You've done everything you can, but you just haven't gotten there. And having something and somebody like you and this organization and this scholarship step in to say, here's a little helping hand to the point of, like, if it's 2,500 or whatever it is, I mean, this is a godsend. This is the type of thing that is the most, our children are our greatest asset and our greatest investment, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The more time we invest in them, whether it's physical time, emotional time, conversation time, supporting time, it goes a long way. I didn't miss any of his football games.
Mm.
I always, unless he told me I couldn't come because there was a girl
A
coming.
mother.
Girl coming.
He didn't want me to talk to her and be
He's
like,
still a
"What kind of
teenager
girl
after
you are?"
all.
Yeah, after all, he's still a boy, right? So I would always be at every possible game, even if I had to catch just the last 5 minutes. It didn't matter what I was doing. I excused myself and I was there for him in any way. And I think the foundation that I believe that parents need to know and hear is, even if you're hard up or even if you're not hard up, having conversations with your kids and letting them know and teaching them about whatever is going on in the family dynamic, whether it's good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah.
Important. Yes, we are putting a stress we don't need to put on the kids, but I find the kids are so resilient today. They will either come up with something that you didn't think of, they will be respectful, they will be appreciative, and they will be mindful to what is going on, better than them finding out a different way and, you know,
Oh, I agree.
feel lied to.
Yeah, I agree.
I think sugarcoating this stuff is probably one of the worst things you can do. I mean,
But
there's
that's why you're called a family unit.
Mm.
That's why, you know, that you get together and you sit down wherever you're sitting down and you talk about what's going on. And if it's tragedy or if it's stress or even if it's happiness, like
Yeah.
guess what happened today, you know? So it's incredible that I'm going to tell you, because of our business, we see so much non-communication.
Yeah.
a lot of stress, a lot of anger and resentment.
This is what we hear a lot of. We can't tell our children that we're moving.
Mm.
Not yet. And you know, that's the silliest thing, because this is a big decision in everybody's lives. You know, you're moving your child from here to there, and they have to change their schools or their whatever, and you've got to discuss it with them first.
Absolutely. And
You know,
Nothing makes them feel more included and more,
yeah.
I guess, grown up in a way than, you know, making sure that you're including them in tough conversations. Because we all celebrate the good stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody is happy about that. But when there's tough stuff, you know, sometimes the kids need to know too. There's been times when we've been hard for money and kids come to us and say, "Hey, can we get this thing?" And I'm like, "Nope." And it's not like it's a conversation about, no, here's why.
Yeah.
Not just like, no, it's like, here's why. Like, this is what we're going through. We need to be more respectful of the moment we're in. And that's part of growing as a family and growing as a child.
Absolutely.
And I think what's interesting is like translating that into, you know, I think children will have a greater respect. I think there's a lot of entitlement today. That's the problem.
So I
Right.
want to relay a really cute story.
Okay.
Justin was probably, my husband
I
and
forgot she's my mom, right?
my my ex-husband and I, you know, we went through tough times at the very beginning, and you know, it was, you know, we had to save, we had to look at our bank account all the time, and we were starting in real estate, and Justin was probably about 4 or 5 at the time. And so I was shopping in No Frills. Oh my goodness, Karen Paul went to No Frills? Yes. And Byway, which I'm sure nobody knows about. But
I remember Byway.
anyway, but we were shopping in No Frills, and Justin asked me for a certain cereal. And I said, you know, Justin, I'm sorry, but we just can't afford it this week. But we, you know, maybe next week. And the first thing out of his mouth was, well, you can go to the machine and get money out of that machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me of Adam too, because he'd be like, just use your card, Mom.
Yeah. Doesn't the money come out of the machine?
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
Probably my favorite little tidbit that you shared with us the other day when we met about and we chatted about this and having this conversation was, you know, it's the memory of Adam is incredible. Like genuinely, like it's probably like I'm jealous because my kids don't live up to that somehow. I'm like, I don't know, whatever.
Well, that's not true.
My
Justin.
kids are amazing in their own way, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But you know, what I loved about the connection of it all and how it kind of really resonated with me and because we have the exact same story, you were like, he was lazy, he didn't do his laundry, he didn't make his bed, he didn't this, and he was a pain in the ass sometimes, but it was Adam.
He was
And you know, and so my kids are exactly the same. You know, like they talk back sometimes, they're whatever, you know, this, like, oh, you want to tear your hair out. He's just a teenager.
Yeah.
But through all of that, we can all aspire to have our kids have some sort of, you know, some sort of story like Adam's, where they've touched someone else's life in one way or another. No one has to be perfect. I mean, and no one has to be like Adam in every facet. But if they can change someone's life, even just by saying hi to them or,
Yeah.
high-fiving someone in a high school hallway, because high school is probably the most crazy hormonal time of kids' lives as they go through all that. That's really all we need. And this is kind of the message here, is spreading the love,
Yeah.
right? Love your kids, because you never know.
Yeah. Tomorrow's not promised.
No, exactly. And that's,
And love the
Tomorrow-
world, though, because right now there's so much crap out there, and so many people in the divide, and angry at each other for the things that are going on, and it's just not worth it, right? Because we only get one shot at this,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes that shot's going to be cut short, and
Yeah.
it's glad, like, we're happy and impressed that you were able to keep this memory alive and continue Adam's life past his life in a way. But just know that the love is what we're really talking about here, and spreading the love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If there's anything that I would tell parents, and it's funny because the day after Adam passed, they had a vigil at the school, and the parking lots, the streets were full. There were
okay.
thousands and thousands of people.
How
And
incredible that is, eh?
Amazing.
it was, I was shocked, because I looked around and I said, my little man did that. And I was just like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy. So the thing that I told the parents that were there, or the kids that were there, was, if your parent says no, don't go, don't go.
Yeah.
Put on your emergency contact and make sure that you share your location with your parents all the time.
Yep.
Stay in communication with your parents when you're out. And to the parents, do not let your kids leave without saying, I love you, and a big hug and a big kiss, because you will regret, God forbid, if anything happens to a child, your child, and you don't just say, I love you. I love you. And that's the one thing I'm grateful for, because before Adam left, he looked at me and he goes, don't worry, Mom, it's just a little rain. And he kissed me right here, gave me a hug, and he said, I'll see you for dinner. So if this message goes to anybody, if there's one thing, who cares what's going on? Just a hug and a kiss, because you or your kid may not come back. So the love is probably the most important.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he always said, I love you, whether to us, to his sister, his grandparents, his friends. He'd always say, love you, talk to you later, click.
Yeah.
And I used to like, like, aren't you talking to one of the boys? And he's like, yeah, and we love each other.
Mhm.
And I was like, I think it's cool. I wasn't making fun of you. I was making sure that you weren't talking to a girl and not telling me, you know? Not that I
Yep.
cared, but it's just, I just wanted to know, like, you guys all say I love you. Like, even when they left the house, when he was alive, bye, Mrs. Malki, I love you. I love you too, sweetheart. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But it was a thing for them, and
I don't think there's so much. There's no such thing as too much love.
No. No.
And today
So,
we need a lot more.
We need a lot more, and so I think on that note, and I'm gonna need like a box of tissues and such.
Yeah, me too.
On that note, I think we can.
Oh, you guys.
We can oh, listen. I mean, I am an emotional mess right now, so I'm trying to just hold it together.
I know.
But yeah, no. Unreal, unbelievable, and
Our Facebook
just-
followers are probably all sitting.
Yeah, yeah. This is a quite
Feeling
the
this
story.
emotion. I'm telling you, it's beautiful emotion.
Right, and we are very grateful that you wanted to share with us and have.
I am grateful that you wanted me to share this on yours. So thank you from all of us. You know,
Well, if there's one message I have is love everyone and donate.
donate,
So
donate,
we
donate.
got a
Donate
goal to hit.
And get it up to 100,000. Come on.
Yeah, let's go. So all the links will be below in the comment section,
Thank you.
and we'll continue to share this in our newsletter and everywhere else. So it'll get out there. And yeah, thank you so much for coming
Thank you
on.
so
and
much.
I so appreciate you guys. I know my whole family and myself. We can't thank you enough.
Amazing. Thanks, guys. All right, everyone. We will see you soon.